just that, temporary. No man, woman, or beast alive shall survive the outbreak.
Absolutely love it. I love it. Now, being the great podcast journalists that we are, I just made that phrase up, Callum, because Bobby Heenan was one of the one of the great broadcast journalists. As a great podcast journalist, I've been doing my research on you, and Callum and I both know that you are a big fan of Paul Ellering and the Legion of Doom. And I would like to ask you, my fine fellow, give me your favourite. I don't like to say favourite, because if you ask me my favourite Undertaker moment, I could name you 20. But give me one of your favourite Legion of Doom memories or moments from your childhood when you were a little Barnabas that perhaps inspired you. I've got mine.
So one of my absolute favorite memories and moments, there's actually two that come to mind very quickly, and they probably are not things that you would think of offhand, but I'm going to share them with you now, gentlemen.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
The first one is when I was a wee little baby Barnabas.
Mm-hmm.
I would go to the grocery store with my mama, and I would make a beeline for the newsstand where they had the magazines, they had the comic books, they had the newspapers. But of course, I tossed all that aside because I was looking for a very specific selection of wrestling magazines. Now, there were a number of different magazines many, many years ago. George Napolitano had his magazines. WWF had their magazine. But the magazines that left an indelible impression on Barnabas the Bizarre, that planted the seeds of yours truly entering this wild and crazy universe of pro wrestling, were what's affectionately known as the Apter mags. Named, of course, after the great Bill Apter, one of the kindest, sweetest gentlemen in the wrestling game, who still to this day does not realize just how important his role is in professional wrestling and making so much of us lifelong fans, and also making us true full-time professionals honing our craft in this great sport of ours. But I specifically remember going to the newsstand within that grocery store. Variety of wrestling magazines. But there is one cover of Pro Wrestling Illustrated that is etched within my bizarre brain. And it is a cover. And it must have been, I'm going to guess, maybe around 83, 84, somewhere in that range. But it was Hawk and Animal, the Road Warriors. And when I saw them on the cover of this magazine, I was mesmerized. Within my little teeny tiny baby Barnabas brain, I thought to myself, who are they? I want to see them. I want to know everything about them because they looked like larger than life superheroes. They looked like cartoon characters come to life. They looked like He-Man, Masters of the Universe characters right before my very eyes. And then, so I'll give you three. I'll give you an extra one. Second thing that I fondly remember is with my fandom developing into my professionalism within this craft, I would read anything that I could get my hands on. I would go to the library and I would take out books that were about professional wrestling. Every magazine, every book. I would go to the Scholastic Book Fair at my school, and I would specifically look for books about pro wrestling. I would send after VHS tapes from all across the land so that I could watch and study all these unique performers. But upon reading different articles, at one point I found out that precious Paul Ellering was indeed in so many ways the what we would call shoot manager of Hawk and Animal, the Road Warriors. He not only managed them on screen, he also managed their careers off. He is heavily instrumental in maintaining their special attraction vibe and feel, because most fans today, they don't understand the fact that early Road Warriors were a phenomenon. They were to tag team wrestling what Hulk Hogan was to singles wrestling in the 80s. They were a special attraction along the lines of a Bruiser Brody, or even more so, I would say, Andre the Giant, because obviously the Road Warrior pop that everyone talks about was born from the incredible reactions that Hawk and Animal would get literally all around the globe. And they would never overstay their welcome anywhere early on. And that was strategy by Paul Ellering. And of course, later, Paul would negotiate the Zubaz deal, those gaudy zebra striped pants that were all the rage back in the early 90s for pro athletes and bodybuilders. But the Road Warriors were the ones that benefited from that, thanks to Paul. So Paul Ellering being found as their shoot manager was influential. The cover of PWI was influential. And the other match, and again, this is an oddball, but I remember it to this day. It was an AWA VHS tape. And it was the Road Warriors versus Drew Tossel and Nacho Barrera. Just two enhanced guys. But the Road Warriors stormed the ring and beat the holy hell out of these two and made waste of them. Iron Man would hit on the loudspeakers. They would rush the ring and they would swiftly hand their opposition their asses right on national television around the globe. So those are three distinct memories I have of Hawk and Animal and Precious Paul. You said you have yours. Please.
I do. So one of my favorite Legion of Doom moments is on the same show as one of my favorite Undertaker moments, and it just so happened to be in the UK when they came out at that SummerSlam on those motorbikes. At this point, I was already a fan as a little kid. At this point, I loved them. But when they came out on those motorbikes, I was like, wow, that took my breath away. And I thought nothing can top that. And then when Undertaker came out with a hearse, I was like, wow, like a kid in a candy store.
Listen, this is why you gentlemen are watching Lunacy. I talk about this regularly, whether it be on podcast or just in my day-to-day existence. I talk about the fact that there are many, many people that approach me either in person or they message me through social media, and they tell me they used to be fans when they were kids or when they were younger, and they haven't watched wrestling in years. And because of whether it be myself or the Outbreak, Cocaine, Stephen Flo, it doesn't matter, they started watching JCW Lunacy. And now they've fallen back in love with pro wrestling because this is what pro wrestling has always been. I don't really understand or know what happened or why we started to deviate away from larger-than-life characters and personalities. Apparently all the things that Jonathan Coachman doesn't like.
What a surprise. The coach has a bad take.
These are the things that made us all fans. This is what hooked us, if you will, when we were children. To this very day, the lot of us were either stubborn or we're insane or just plain stupid. But we still love and appreciate this incredible art form. And a big part of the reason for that is because of the larger-than-life personalities and characters, the emotional investment in said characters, as well as the angles, the rivalries that used to take place back in the day. So, giving away age, not giving away age, listen, Barnabas the Bizarre is timeless.